For this name design, we're going to make block letters. I'm doing the word name, whatever you want to call it, blue. So I start with a block letter B. I just went ahead and drew a block letter. If you're not sure how to draw a block letter, just start with a letter. I will do that next. Alright, B's finished. I'll draw an L really lightly. That way I can erase it later. And then I trace it. Just go around it. Now I did make the letters a little too big here at first. So for the next ones, here I am erasing it. For the next ones, you will have to make it a little smaller if you made your letters too big, or you can erase and start over, but make it work. All right, there's blue finished. Now I may divide the background. I do a line horizontal and made it curvy. Then I made 3 lines on top, 3 lines on the bottom, and then I start my pattern. Do a diagonal straight line pattern. Keep it in mind where that's going across. Once I have that done, I will do the rest. You can choose from lines like I just did there, or you can do shapes. For this one, I'm doing long rectangles that are going vertical up and down. Fill that in. Got a little trickier down there, making sure that I try to make it a little more random. And this one I followed the contour of the U, then I did some squares for that one. I probably could have done some round shapes. You don't have to do squares. You could even do marks as part of your pattern. That doesn't have to be just lines and shapes. Speaking of shapes, I did a polka dot pattern on that one. Now that one's kind of tricky because I was trying to space them out a certain way. So you'll watch me. I'm trying to line everything up, draw some extra part of the circles where they come to the edge. Here's one of my favorite ones to do is to jaggedy free form shapes. When you do those, make sure you don't touch too much, don't get too crazy. Sometimes I got a little crazy. I try to keep them small. That's kind of a fun one because it reminds me of cobblestones or something. Now here, make sure you pay attention and get some inside the opening of your letters. So whatever letters have openings, make sure you have a pattern in there that matches what's behind the letter on the other area. Now this one, it was a little trickier because of where it was compared to the E. So I just kind of tried to guess what it might look like over there. I don't know that it was 100% done correctly, but once I colored it, I made sure that everything lined up and it looked okay. Now I'm doing a vertical stripe. Now you could do a checkerboard pattern, but in this one I just left it with just vertical lines. Triangles, I did these triangles so that some were upside down, some were upright, just so that they would fit in the area better and kind of leave an interesting area around the shapes just as well. Trying to figure out where they go in between the L and all that pattern. I had to erase something and fix it. No big deal. Now I started off with dots on this one, and then I decided to try something a little different, and I started connecting the dots to try to figure out like a divided up pattern. I'm not sure how successful it was. I wanted to do 2 colors in all of these patterns, and I think I ended up doing 3 in this one to make it work. And I did add more lines or dots as I went on this one because it was a little more challenging to figure out how to get all of them to be triangles. I think at one point I decided I needed them to all to be triangles for some reason, and that's what I did. After I kind of filled it in, at one point I go, oh yeah, I need triangles, and I started dividing them, and I don't remember if I did more dots to make it happen. So that one took a little while because I did start with dots. Now remember, with dots, don't be pounding the pencil into the paper. You want to just kind of put your pencil down and do a little tiny circle with it, and that'll make a decent dot that doesn't make a bunch of noise and ruin the end of your pencil, and you have to sharpen it 20 times. So here I am trying to figure out if that's good enough. And here I do decide to do a checkerboard type pattern, so I did diagonal both directions, but I still get my little grid design. Here's another one of my favorite ones, is to do the blobs. And I tell that to my students all the time. This is one of my favorite blob shapes. It's just fun to say and fun to draw. Blobs don't have to look like anything necessarily, but they could look like, I don't know, popcorn, pieces of gum, flowers, even a hand. All right, so when I start coloring, I wanted to stick with blue because I am doing blue as the name design, so I stuck with doing all shades of blue. So there you can see on the left there that I chose all my blue colors and then alternated the patterns with them. So for the stripes, I did one color and I skipped and did the same color, and then I changed colors and filled in the rest of it inside the letter B. So you can kind of tell that it's different. Maybe not as high contrast as you would like, but that helps me make the letters stay blue and still have a two-color pattern. All right, let me finish the rest of these. I got a darker blue and light blue I think works better. This one I colored the whole letter and then came back in with a darker blue. For the background, I just chose two contrasting colors. This one I wasn't happy, and I decided to color the background a little bit darker. Then I did complementary colors there, red and green. Kind of did the same thing with that pink one and the light green over there. That was a little different. I used purple and gray, and I used two kinds of purples there, yellow, green, and red. I think it might have been a scarlet. And then here I started with trying to do every other area, triangle. I don't know if they were triangles. Brown, and then I came in with gray, and I ended up with doubles. Now here's where I might have made a little bit of mistake. I outlined it, it looked good, but the crayon that I colored it with kind of was clogging up the tip of the marker, so there I was trying to clean it off as I went. So sometimes students think that it's clogged or dried out, and it's not dried out, it's just clogged up with a little bit of wax on